The snowstorm had been relentless that night, pounding my small cabin in the mountains with icy fury. I had lived here for years, isolated from the world, enjoying the solitude that nature provided. As a former Marine, I had sought peace after my discharge. The quiet of the mountains, the solitude, and the rugged beauty of the wilderness suited me perfectly. It had been months since I'd last seen another person, and that was how I liked it. The mountains had become my refuge, my sanctuary from the chaotic world below. But tonight, something was different. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. It wasn't the wind howling against the wooden walls or the snow crunching underfoot outside. It was a presence, a feeling in the air that didn't belong. I couldn't explain it, but I felt it deep in my bones, the hairs on the back of my neck standing up. I grabbed my rifle and walked to the door, peering out through the snowstorm. For a brief moment, I thought I saw something moving near the trees. Something tall, something not quite human. My heart raced. I quickly dismissed the thought. It must have been my mind playing tricks on me. The storm was harsh, and the mountain's solitude often created strange illusions. But then I heard a faint rustling from inside the cabin. I froze. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and I turned slowly, my heart pounding in my chest. I wasn't alone. The woman stood at the far corner of the cabin, her silhouette barely visible in the dim light from the fireplace. Her skin was a strange shade of pale green, almost luminescent, and her long, flowing hair shimmered with iridescent hues, like something from another world. She was dressed in tattered clothes, clearly out of place in this rugged setting. Her large eyes, bright, alien, and full of fear, locked onto mine. I didn't speak immediately. The sight of her was like a dream, something so foreign, so unreal, that I couldn't bring myself to believe it. She wasn't human. She couldn't be. "Who are you?" I finally found my voice, though it sounded small in the vast emptiness of the cabin. I took a step toward her, my hand instinctively gripping the rifle at my side. The alien woman flinched, her body instinctively shrinking into the corner. She looked terrified, as if she were afraid I might harm her. I'm sorry," she stammered, her voice soft and musical, but laced with an unmistakable fear. "I didn't mean to intrude. I was just looking for shelter. Please don't hurt me." Her words were so strange, but the tone was unmistakable, human-like, yet not. There was a depth to them, as if she were from a distant place, a place I could never hope to understand. She had no weapons, no tools, nothing that indicated hostility. She looked almost fragile, and yet I could sense a strange power emanating from her. I lowered my rifle slightly, my instincts telling me she was no threat. I had lived alone for so long that the sight of another being, no matter how alien, brought with it an overwhelming sense of loneliness. I had to know who she was, why she was here. "Why are you here?" I asked, taking another cautious step toward her. What are you?" She hesitated, her eyes flickering nervously to the door and the windows, as though she expected someone, or something, to come for her at any moment. Not from here," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm from far away. I crashed my ship, it's broken. I've been hiding here, trying to fix it. But when I saw you, I thought you might hurt me. I don't want to be found." Her words didn't make sense. An alien, stranded on Earth, hiding from someone or something. My mind raced with questions, but I didn't speak them aloud. She looked so vulnerable, and the fear in her eyes made it clear that she was terrified. This wasn't the kind of situation I had ever expected to find myself in, especially not in the remote mountains where I had escaped to. "You're not from Earth?" I asked. I couldn't help but ask. She shook her head slowly. "No, I'm from a planet far from here. I was sent on a mission, part of an expedition to explore the galaxy. My ship was damaged. I crashed here and I've been stranded ever since. My mind was spinning. An alien stranded on Earth? A survivor of some intergalactic expedition? What kind of world was I living in that this was happening right in front of me? She noticed my hesitation and stepped back, her expression softening. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to be found. I just need help. She glanced at the fireplace, her eyes flicking back to me. Please, I need to fix my ship. Can you help me? I didn't know what to say. It was one thing to help a lost hiker or a stranded traveler, but this was something completely different. Something far beyond my comprehension. But I had lived alone in these mountains for years. I had learned to trust my instincts, and in that moment, I knew I couldn't turn her away. She was alone. She was scared, and maybe, just maybe, helping her could lead to answers. Answers about the stars, about life beyond this planet. All right, I said, setting the rifle down on the table and taking a deep breath. I'll help you, but we need to stay low. If your ship is damaged, we need to fix it before anyone finds out about you. Her face lit up, the fear in her eyes replaced by a glimmer of hope. She nodded eagerly, her alien features softer now that the threat of danger had passed. Thank you, she whispered. I promise you won't regret it. I'll repay you somehow. Over the next several weeks, we worked together in the cabin. She shared what little she knew about her ship, and I used all the skills I had learned in my years as a soldier to help her repair it. We used scraps, materials I had gathered from the nearby wrecks of old satellites, and even my own resources. It was a slow process, but we made progress. Every day, I learned more about her species, and about the vast expanse of the galaxy she came from. Her name, she told me, was Kalia. She was a member of an advanced civilization, one that had mastered space travel and exploration. But their peace had been shattered by war, and she had been sent on a mission to explore new worlds before the war consumed everything. As the ship's repairs neared completion, I felt the weight of her promise. She had told me she would repay me somehow, but I never imagined what that could mean. After all, I was just a human man, living in isolation, helping an alien woman. But the more we worked together, the more I began to feel the weight of her words. One evening, as we sat by the fire, Kalia turned to me, her expression serious. You've helped me, she said softly, and for that, I will offer you a reward, a gift, something I can give in return for your kindness. I was about to protest, but she raised a hand, stopping me. No, please, she said. I owe you this. You don't understand the magnitude of what you've done, but I can show you something beyond this world, something you could never have imagined. She reached out and touched my hand, and in that moment, I felt it, something deep within me, a connection that spanned the stars. Images, knowledge, glimpses of distant worlds and civilizations flashed in my mind, too fast for me to comprehend. And then, just as suddenly, it was gone. Kalia smiled, her eyes filled with something ancient, something beyond human understanding. I've given you a glimpse of what lies out there, she said softly. You now know there's so much more beyond this planet. The galaxy is vast, and you are part of it. You have a place in it, whether you realize it or not. And just like that, the strange alien woman who had once been a stranger in my cabin was no longer just a visitor. She had shared with me a secret, one that would change my life forever. In helping her, I had unknowingly taken my first step into a much larger universe. As Kalia prepared to leave, she turned to me one last time. Thank you, Ethan. You have given me more than you know. And now I leave you with something. A promise. If ever you need me, or if you wish to explore beyond the stars, I will be there. And with that, she stepped into her ship, the engine roaring to life. The door closed, and the ship ascended into the sky, disappearing into the vast expanse of space. I was left alone once more, but this time, not in isolation. I had seen the stars, and I knew that there was more out there than I had ever imagined.